What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the spinoff, another episode, of course. Today, my guest, none other than the voice of Anthony from Netflix's hit animated show F is for Family, not to mention a stand up comic, writer. I'd like to welcome Al Ducharme
All
to my
right.
show.
Woo!
How are you,
Woo!
Al?
Please, no standing ovations, no applause. That's fine. We'll wait for the applause to peter out. But
Yeah,
that's going well, Brian. How are you, man? Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
man, I'm doing good. This has been some time in the making. God, I think I started contacting you when I was doing the first season, but man, you're a busy dude. So I completely understood, didn't mind. I just waited, and sure as shit, man, here you are. I finally
Here I
got you.
am. I get around to it. During the pandemic, I was still hustling. Uh, is the pandemic still going on? I don't know. I get
You,
mixed. I
you
get
never
mixed
know anymore.
information.
It's like watching Lost. You don't know if they're on the island offline. Who the fuck knows?
That's hysterical. Yeah. I looks like I'm in a warehouse somewhere. I don't know, but it's yeah. I'm glad we finally were able to connect. It's as you know, you get a last minute text, email, and you're off. You're off doing your thing. And I've been
Yeah,
traveling, trying to make up for some lost time during the lockdown.
yeah. And I was gonna ask. I mean, I've had quite a few stand-up comics on in the first season, and that was really during the brunt of the pandemic. Every club was closed down for the most part.
hmm
What did you do to stay sharp, stay hungry to be doing stand-up comedy when you guys couldn't go anywhere?
Well, in the very beginning, to be honest with you, I was actually enjoying having a few weeks off. I was like, oh, this is going to be over, as long as everybody, follows the rules. We'll be done in 14 days. Yay!
Yes.
No, I mean, I figured, oh, this is going to be like this for a month, maybe two tops, and then of course they kept kicking the can down the road, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to start doing something here. So I started doing Zoom shows, and they were horrendous in the very beginning.
Is it hard without the audience?
It was crazy, but then people started to figure out how to produce them, and
Oh,
then the audiences were able to participate, and they started getting better at it, and that kind of saved me. And then I started doing these outdoor ones, and I live in California where they were like ultra strict about everything.
oh
So I
boy.
started doing the parking lots where people are in their vehicles and they were flashing their lights and tooting their horns as a response.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and then we started doing them where they were actually starting to sit outside their vehicles and chaise lounges and whatnot and makeshift things. That became a little better because you could actually hear the laughter. And then we just started doing all these outdoor places like little breweries, little micro pubs. All of a sudden, they just set up stuff. They already had outdoor seating, so they just put some heat lamps up, and all of a sudden, it
Nice.
started to feel like, oh, we're doing comedy again. And then, but that again, it just that was for months on end. I'm like, come on. So then I went to Arizona and performed at Stir Crazy Comedy Club, and full on regular show, whatever it was, 150 people. And I was like, oh, we're back. We're back. And of course, that was last summer. But it's good, man. That's how I got through it. Just trying to improvise, adapt to the situation. And one of my first major big returns was I actually opened up for Bill Burr at the Cosmopolitan back in July of last year, and that was nice. That was like three
Man,
thousand people for three shows, so 9,000 people. Everything was good. Tested negative. it's all
sweet.
it's all good.
And dude, traveling with Bill, I mean, we might as well bring him up. You worked with him on the hit show F is for Family on Netflix. Great show. I'm so sad that it's over. It sucks. I looked forward to watching that each season because you guys made it so funny and so relatable. Even with it being set in the time period it was, the 70s. still so relatable on so many levels to so many ages, which if you're really young, you shouldn't be watching it. But what was it like to do that show? I mean, it was an amazing show.
Yeah, it was. It was a great opportunity. It was an incredible cast. You got to remember, I was the only like. There's only a couple of people that are like. I have some voiceover experience.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my forte in the beginning of my career with stand-up comedy. I was doing a lot of voiceover, on-camera commercials as well. Um, but that was a tremendous cast with Sam Rockwell, Laura Dern, Vince Vaughn, executive producer. He also did some voiceovers on it as well. And the guests, the celebrity guest list goes on and on. But and I was like the guy. He was like I was just like this. Who's that guy? Who is he? Is he okay? Can we trust him? You know. But the few times that we did get together for our cast parties and whatnot, and our season launches and whatnot, it was great to be rubbing elbows with all these big wigs in the business. And then my character had some traction, so everybody started to say, "Oh, he's cool. He's one of
Yeah.
us." Not
Yeah.
really, not when it comes to bank accounts, but he's okay. He's not a stalker. He's not going to try to kill us. So that was a great opportunity. Now I've known Bill from the very beginning of our comedy careers. We did a lot of gigs up in the New England area, and Bill, we used to bring him on the road. He started out as our opener, and then he started featuring, and then he was very difficult to follow at a certain point in his career. And then he started to headline. And when it's so funny when you start out with people, once you break through to headlining, then you don't see each other that much,
Well, yeah.
all that much. But in the beginning, you're like, oh, we're working this gig together. We're working that gig. So uh, Bill was always, I was always a fan of Bill because you could see that he had the it factor at a
Cool.
very young age,
Yeah.
and he was very focused, He was an animal and very disciplined.
Has he calmed down a little bit since becoming a father?
He actually has.
Has he
But
mellowed out?
well, no, he still has his angst and
Thank
all
God.
that. But
I mean, granted, it may be the death of him one day, but man, he's got to have that.
it's very unusual to see. I've seen him interact with his kids and whatnot. He's like such a cool dad. I'm like, you're not the Bill Burr I know.
This ain't
But
the
he's
guy
great.
that would be trashing the shit you're doing right now.
Yeah, this he's there's like these two sides to him. Obviously, there's his stand-up side and then his family side. And I won't divulge too much, but I know him as a young comedian coming up as well. So I've seen all these different.
Oh,
I've
when
seen
Bill
his
still
growth.
had hair. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a full head of hair.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he's one of the guys that with the shaved noggin, he looks like he should have a shaved noggin. He's got
Yes.
the perfect shaped head for it, you know. So
Yes.
whereas my thinning hair, I don't
Same
think
here.
I don't think I'd sport a good looking noggin.
No.
I'm having trouble just with the hair that I have. So,
I'd probably get mistaken to be part of a group that I'd rather not be a part of. So I'd rather not look like that.
yeah, it's all a part of it, you know. So whatever. That's why I wear my lid quite a bit
Yep.
because I have to fuss with my hair to make it look,
I
presentable.
almost go nowhere without a hat, so don't feel bad at all. My God. So talking about F is for Family, I mean,
Hmm.
it wrapped up already and beautifully written. Is there any chance we could see it come back? I mean, I granted it just has been over, but is there talk of maybe like a movie or anything like that? Would Bill be interested?
If I had that information, they wouldn't allow me to divulge it.
Damn.
But we're always hoping, we're always hoping. And to be honest with you, um, here's something that only because I pitched it to them, I was hoping to get a little bit of a spin off from my actual character, Anthony, um, but not in the same tone. I was thinking more of an innocent tone, believe it or not, which would be more appealing to kids, basically. So I was going to
Okay.
be. Uh, yeah, so that was the idea that I had, which fell on deaf ears. But it's
Ah,
okay. It's okay.
yeah.
But you know what? There's always a possibility. Never say never. And of course, when you're doing the show, and then you look at the Simpsons, and you're like, they're 30 plus years, like
Oh
32
yeah.
years.
I mean,
And our executive producer and showrunner and co-creator Michael Price, he's a genius within himself. You're thinking, okay, we got the Simpson guy who's our, you know, showrunner. Maybe we'll get a decade, but it's all about Bill's schedule too,
yeah.
and it takes so long to put together an animated show, which I didn't realize.
Oh, still got to
And
work around your schedule as well.
well, I drop everything.
That
I get
paycheck just
I
looks too
I get
good.
the email or the text, and I just like, yep, I cancel gigs. Whereas Bill, they work around him. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
But we Bill and I were at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, and we were actually doing a benefit because he does a lot of shows for people that are ill and whatnot, a lot of friends. So he
Wow.
does a lot of fundraisers and whatnot. So he texted me, he said, "Hey man, we're going to do a fundraiser for our friend who passed away. He's got a family and two young boys." I said, "Yeah." So we set aside a night, and we raised, well, Bill raised. It was so funny because Bill didn't announce it yet. So I guess we were probably like half sold out. And then I think in the afternoon, the day of, he mentioned it he tweeted it out. Going to be here tonight for a fundraiser. Boom! 15 minutes later, completely sold out. And
Jesus.
turning away hundreds of people.
Man.
Everybody's trying to get in. We're like, oh my God. I guess that's when it really resonated with me how big he is. And, you
He's
see
come a
people and you
long
go,
way.
and you say, okay, wow, he's like killing it and whatnot. But then when you experience it in person, you're like, wow, I got to start showing some respect for this guy. Uh,
And his crowd work is amazing.
oh, he's just like so quick.
Yeah.
He thinks so quick on his feet. So I went up and did my thing, which he's familiar with my act style that I do characters and voices and whatnot. It's kind of my
Hell yeah.
forte. So he goes, dude. He goes, uh, we got picked up again, and we're running out of voices. He goes, I know you have 1,000 voices, and I'm like, I've got about 8 to 10.
Hey, that works. You can make 8 to 10 into 30, 40.
Well, that's the point. I can do 8 to 10 out of the gate, in the booth. But if you want me to work on stuff, obviously I'll branch out. But so he said, do me a favor, can you send me some clips so I can hand them off to the producers and showrunners, Vince Vaughn,
Wow.
Netflix, blah blah blah. So I'm like, of course, dude. So he goes, hey, can you come in for a table read? I'm like, yeah, I think I can work that out. So I go to a
Yeah.
table read thinking, okay, it's a cartoon. I'm not even saying animated adult show. I'm just saying, I'm going to go read for a cartoon. I've done this before. So I get there, and they go, it's at a hotel, and it's in a ballroom. I'm like, what the hell is this? I walk in, and there's 200 people.
Holy
It's
shit.
like, there's like animation department, Netflix execs, writers. There's it's all catered. There's all these celebrities, and there's a big long table, and my name is on a little plaque
Ah.
printed, and they put me right next to the producers and Netflix people, and then everybody else is sitting at the other side. So all the focus is on me because I'm the new character
Oh
guy.
no.
No, this is great. This is
Okay.
great. But I wasn't intimidated. That's the whole thing.
Good.
But when I walked in, I'm like, what? Why is this? It's a cartoon. What the hell? So then everybody reads their lines. We get chuckles, chuckles, chuckles. And then they get to me, and I do my Anthony character. You know what? You know what? And the place goes bananas. And I'm like, especially the writers. The writers are doing a little bit of forced laughter because they want to make sure their scene all
Oh
plays out.
God.
And we read for, a half hour or so. And then people come up to me and say, congratulations. And then Michael Price comes up to me, he goes, "Welcome to the family." I'm like, "What?" And then Bill's like, "Hey man, you killed it, blah blah blah." So then I'm inside this like little machine.
Once you're
And
in, you're in.
well, that's the whole thing. You do want to parlay it into other stuff as well. And we did finish our final season during the pandemic,
Yep.
which was a nice save for me financially.
Hey,
Um, but
doesn't matter how you
it's
make your
there.
money.
You could say it's over, but it's on Netflix. They
Yeah.
own it. That's the home, and they might be showing it in other places in the future. But it's streaming now. So
Yes.
if you haven't seen it, start with season 1
Got to.
and binge it, baby. Binge
Yeah.
it.
And it's
And
quick to get through. They're what, 26-minute episodes
mm-hmm.
roughly. That's so quick, but everything is just so fast. Quick hitters. I mean, like you said, Sam Rockwell playing like a Matthew McConaughey type character from Dazed and Confused. I couldn't tell that was Sam at first. I had no idea. It was so spot on.
Right, right. Now Sam's not always able to make it to table reads and whatnot,
Yeah.
and the only time you might bump into him is either at the recording studio, like if you're waiting to go in. By the way, I was talking about me being like the man on the lowest man on the totem pole. When a celeb comes in and they go, "Hey Al, you're next," and then if a celeb comes in, they go, "Hey Al, could you just hang out for a minute?" So I know that when I go in for a recording, even though it says I might be there for an hour, hour and a half, I know
Eh,
I block out 3 hours because
yeah. Some A-lister is going to come in and steal your
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
So I know that's a part of it.
it's going to
But
happen
at
for
the same
you.
time, it gives me an opportunity to chat it up with some of them, and
Yeah.
because
Can
if
open
they,
up opportunities.
yeah. So it's all that, and and warming up to people is always a good thing, so that when you see them again at the cast party or something, it's not awkward, you know, for the
Man,
most part.
I'll
So that's
tell
all
you.
good. That's all good.
I'll tell you, man. I'm glad we talked about that show. Like I said, it is one of my favorites of all time. And being so recent, it's saying something. You guys did an amazing job on that show. So,
Again, I was just doing my act,
man,
but the writers are incredible. And again, I mentioned Mike Price a few times there,
mhm.
but he's definitely him and Bill, well, Vince Vaughn are the driving forces behind the whole darn thing. But there's so many people. There's so many people that are involved in it. I had no idea that it takes like a full year for an animated show. Plus, it's a serial. They're shooting it like in a chronological logical order
Yeah.
versus like The Simpsons is just independent stories. So
Wow.
that's why they crank out their 20 something episodes per season, because they could just start from scratch. Whereas F is for Family has to remember
You have a
exactly
storyline.
where they left. Yeah, storyline exactly where they left off, so that they can propel it forward. It's a little bit more complex, but
But
it's
very
amazing.
easy to
Amazing.
follow. Very easy to follow.
To be honest with you, I was a little surprised when they didn't go for 2 more seasons. I was like a little bit surprised by that, but I don't know the whole story on that too. It could have been just other obligations from people.
Netflix is kind of known for that, though. I mean, they had one show called Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore, and it was a hilarious show. It left on a cliffhanger, I think, in season 2,
Mm-hmm.
and it got dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just, it sucked, but at least you guys knew it was ending and you could give it a proper
Yes,
send off.
yes. They said when they said final season before the fifth season was begun. That gave them a nice way to tie it up in a nice little bow. Yes.
All right. And you also have another thing that you do with a buddy of yours. You do a little podcast, which is also on YouTube called the Two Dicks Podcast.
Yes. Well,
How
it's
did that
actually
happen?
well the web series. We play 1950s detectives, politically incorrect, middle-aged dudes, the stuff that wouldn't fly today at all.
Oh,
They were shorts. They were just like literally 3 to 5 minutes long, and we were having fun with it. But we started to get some traction and quite a lot of views. And then the pandemic came around. I think we had 15 episodes, 16. There's actually 16, but I don't count it because we did it during the pandemic via Zoom.
yep, like I do here.
Yeah. So it didn't have the same, chemistry of doing it, the sitcom form.
That would be tough.
Yeah. So we decided to turn into a podcast, and originally we were called the Talking Dicks podcast, and then it was we had trouble getting it on some of the platforms because it's called Talking Dicks, the Two Dicks. By the way, do not Google the Two Dicks.
No.
Yeah, because don't look at images. I should say you'll get circus acts and whatnot.
Oh dear God! What comes up with Talking Dicks though?
Well, we had to change it from the Two Dicks podcast to the Talking Dicks podcast.
Yep.
That wasn't enough. Now it's the Talking Dicks comedy podcast, and now we're listed wherever you listen to podcasts. So that was the thing. People, but we had to. We had to appeal a lot of it. We had to send in letters saying, no, we're comedians, detectives, 1950s, blah, blah, blah. And it all worked out. So that's gathering some steam. And as you know, putting this together, we also use the Zoom platform because that suits us. I know there's other ones out there, but we like the Zoom.
Zoom's great. I'm not going to lie. Zoom's great.
Now, question.
Yes, sir.
You don't have a divider in the middle of your screen. Like I'm like a butt right up against yours.
Yep.
Whereas in ours, there's a gap, and we put our logo in the middle. But I'd rather get rid of the gap. I don't. Is that my? It's Al Romas is my partner, and he has I think an iPhone 10 or something. Maybe it's his iPhone. It's like it's cropping him.
And see, that's got to be it. It's got to be doing it from your phone.
Because yours looks good. I like.
I always do mine on my laptop and then go in afterwards and put a border in the top and bottom just to give it a little extra pop this season, and it seemed to work out.
And yeah, and I like your background. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's not to break anything, but yeah, that's fake as hell.
It looks great.
It's just a backdrop, folks.
But it looks great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
A 3D effect there, and
yeah, it was better than looking at just some plain old wall behind me. So
no, it looks like you have radon gas and asbestos.
Absolutely. Oh, I have more than that. I got pieces from Chernobyl here. If you want me to mail you some.
No, I can see it from here.
Yeah, I mean that's what I used to power his stupid ass with, and then this thing started growing. I don't know what happened.
Wow! I love those the James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy. I really
hilarious.
enjoy them.
I love Groot.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the voice. Well, it depends on how big he is. At this
point,
he's like, I am Groot. Right? No,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Maybe a little bit higher pitch, and I think he got it. Man, yeah, I look, I love the Marvel movies. Now there you go. That sounded like Vin Diesel.
When he's big, yeah.
Yep, that sounded like Vin Diesel. That was really good.
So what did they do to Vin when he was this?
I have no clue.
Did they change the speed of it?
No, they had to have, because he's still listed as the voice of Groot. So
maybe that was part of the deal.
Had to be.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a hell of a job right there? All you got to do is show up, say one line, and that's it.
And I was worried about Vin Diesel financially because, the Fast and the Furious, he's got to be a billionaire by now.
You would think.
He's executive producer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like anybody watches the Fast and Furious movies. I mean, their box office flops. It just... You're right. He probably financially needs that one-liner check. Maybe he filed for bankruptcy after they made Fast and Furious 15 or something. I was
just going to say. I think what was that? Yeah, another sequel came out. So there you go.
Yeah,
it just
seems like you turn the corner and there's another one. Jeez. You can't keep track of him anymore.
We're not worried about him financially.
No, I don't think he's worried about us financially either because we're not a blip on the radar.
We're not.
No, not even close. So doing the stand up, man,
Yeah.
who was the idol that got you into it, or were there multiple?
Well, when I was very young, I had older brothers and sisters, and they were listening to comedy albums.
Yes.
I don't know if the kids know what an album is, but
It's made a
comedy album.
resurgence.
Yeah, it has actually. People are collecting vinyl again.
I know.
But they would have the Bill Cosbys. I guess they
Yeah.
were my parents, and then my older brothers and sisters were listening to them, and then we just, So Bill Cosby,
Yep.
he's out of prison now. So
Yeah, well, good. That's good.
yeah, he was a big influence on me, storytelling and doing characters and sound effects. So that was my thing. But then, even like the Jerry Seinfeld, the technician of building a joke, made me really want to do it. Although I don't, that style is nothing like mine at all. It's just that the proficiency of him.
Yeah.
He's not everybody's cup of tea,
No.
but I just really liked what he was doing up there. And
I
then
like
there's a
his
bunch
stand up. I can't
Yeah.
say I like the TV show.
Okay.
Makes no sense.
No, the biggest one of all time, one of the biggest
Yeah.
sitcoms of all time. No, I
Yeah.
get it. It's again, I appreciate the style of that because I lived in New York City for a number of years,
Ah.
and that whole New York City vibe.
So you kind of
And,
got the feel of like where they were and things like that.
yeah, and I lived in an apartment like that, and
Okay.
my bike was hanging on a bike rack, and he was a stand-up comedian.
Yep.
So, and at that time, I was probably starting out. I'm getting messages. Could you hear that?
Oh, that's all right. I don't mind. Dude, I get that stuff all the time. It's no big deal.
That was Al Romas asking me what time my flight is because I'm actually going to be flying into Tampa. I'm leaving in the morning.
Oh, damn.
I reside in Los Angeles these days. He's in Tampa, Florida. So I'll be flying there. He's going to pick me up at the airport. We're going to do a podcast. We'll be podcasting from Tampa. This will be the first time. We have 168 episodes. So 169th episode will be in person.
Oh, wow.
First time. And this is the first time we've seen each other since 2019.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
That is crazy.
this is a big thing. It's a big thing so we decided what we're going to do is we're going to go, there's an Italian restaurant and we're going to be mic'd up with lavaliers and we're going to have a podcast while we're eating dinner.
Hell. Oh, my
Why
God.
not?
That
Why
sounds
not?
so good.
It's going to be, well, we'll see how the sound is, but the concept is interesting to us because it's different. And
what do they call those videos on YouTube? Mukbang or whatever the heck it is. If you can hear you chew your food good enough, turn it into one of those. I mean, you might make some money. You never know.
Well, that's what we're going to go for. And I'll have my regular intro saying, okay, so we're going to go to our meal. We're not live streaming, but we're going to go to our meal where it all took place. And boom, right in, and then fade out. And right back to our regular outro. Thanks for listening. Boom. And see if we can get watch everything fail. Like
Oh God.
the camera, that's another thing. We got to do it on our phone. And I have a little tripod.
Yep.
So we didn't ask permission from the restaurant. We rather asked for forgiveness if they say, hey, it's an Italian restaurant. You can't do that, boys. Otherwise, maybe something happened to you on the way out. Maybe you tripped and fell and broke your friggin' skull. I don't know. Who knows? So that's what we're going to give that a go.
Italian. You don't want to get on Italian's bad side.
I grew up in an Italian neighborhood.
Oh dear God.
I'm French, Irish, and a little bit of Portuguese, and that's where my hairy arms come from. But I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and some of the families were, which is a sign for being involved peripherally with the underworld.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the best food, man. The best restaurants, the best. And then, the whole outdoor parties. They were doing outdoor parties decades before the pandemic. And We had the St. Mary's Feast every year at the church, and it was like a carnival and fried dough. Love it. Absolutely love it.
So you're
Um,
going out to Tampa. Are
I'm
you
going to go
doing
to Tampa.
any stand up while you're out there?
I'm going to do some locals. We're just going to go down to a club and screw around.
I heard it's like
I
the
can't
Wild
even,
West down there.
can't even remember the name of the club. Then I'll be boarding a cruise ship, Royal Caribbean, and hopefully avoiding COVID. I get
Yes.
tested before I get on. If I test negative, I get to board. And
Perfect.
after that, I head to Boston, Massachusetts at Laugh Boston on February 11th. That's going to be a Valentine's show called Love is a Joke. And I'll be doing that with a bunch of other comedians, including Tom Cotter, Carrie Louise Cotter, Vicky
Wow.
Cooperman, Max Cohen, myself, and
Jeez.
my partner Bernadette Pauley. My wife
Eh.
is a comedian as well. And then we're going to be performing at Fulcino Vineyard. It's a vineyard winery in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's coming up February 11th, isn't it?
That's a Friday, the night before Laugh Boston. See, you did your homework.
A little bit.
Um, that's with Dave Russo. Dave Russo, a very funny comedian out of
Yes.
Boston. And it's an oxymoron to have a vineyard in New Hampshire, but it can be done. And I've had some of their wine. I don't know if you're a wine person, but
Eh. Hey,
I've sampled the wine and I was pleasantly surprised and enjoyed it very much.
wine can be good. I enjoyed a nice Riesling in my younger days. So, yeah,
Aha!
Riesling was
Riesling.
good. Very good.
I was giving Al Romas a hard time because he would never drink Riesling, but now he's
Ooh.
got a new girlfriend, Kelly, and she loves Riesling. So he's all about the Riesling.
Thank you, Kelly. Good job. You couldn't do it, but get somebody in there that can lay some kissy kissy on the man and get some drinking the wine.
That's right.
Oh my
Exactly.
goodness. All right. Well, we're approaching that time limit.
Okay.
This is where the end of the show, I go ahead and turn it over to my guests. I want you to let everybody know where they can find you on social media. We've already talked about a couple upcoming
Mm-hmm.
shows. And then just in case, and it's okay if not, any organizations or charities you may be a part of or donate to, feel free to plug those as well. So the stage is yours, my man. Go right ahead.
Thank you,
Al.
Brian. Well, first of all, if you'd like to make a donation, Venmo me, and I'll be sure it gets to that
Yes.
place that it needs to get to.
Same here. Same here, guys.
All my fundraisers and affiliates, I usually perform for free, or I donate my proceeds from my shows to whichever organization. There's so many, too many to mention right now. But
Yeah.
my handle is Stand Up Al. Stand Up Al, just about everywhere. Instagram, Facebook. The Talking Dicks Comedy Podcast is out there wherever you listen to your podcast, and the Two Dicks web series. Look
Yes.
that up on YouTube, and there you have it.
Man, Al, this has been amazing, man. I got to tell you, I'm so glad you decided to join the show. This truly has been an honor to have you on. And man, I really hope to have you on again sometime. We'll get maybe more cast members from F is for Family. And
That would be awesome.
man, that would be really cool. It doesn't matter who it is either.
You know what? You know what? I'm Groot.
Oh,
That was a leap. That was
who,
that
who
was a
was the
stretch.
one that did Goomer? Who did Goomer's voice?
Um,
That creepy ass neighbor that just
oh my goodness.
I
Trevor.
can't. Okay.
Trevor. Oh, what's Trevor's last name? He's gonna kill me. Well, I don't know if he's listening, but
Doubtful.
Trevor's one of the guys. He's like the voiceover artist. He rides a motorcycle in L.A. and he just zips all, or he's constantly working. He records out of his home as well, obviously. But what? Oh, I can't think of his last name. But he's in the credits.
Yeah, he is.
He does. I mean, I do Anthony, and I do half a dozen other voices of
Yep.
every episode. I do like two or three, and it's usually like the cop, the fireman.
Yep.
Hey, you boys, get away from there! You know that stuff. But he does. I think he does the most voiceovers, all the peripheral characters than
Yeah,
anybody.
Goomer's
And
great.
Debbie Berry, she does She does like 3 characters, and I've seen her in the booth. I actually recorded with her in the booth before too, but
Oh,
I've seen
wow.
her do, like, I'll be waiting to go in and I'll be watching her, and she's amazing. She'll do like 2 or 3 characters that are playing off of one another in the same scene. And I'm like, how do you shift your brain to do that? Like
Oh my
flawlessly,
God.
like in just a few takes. And I'm like, okay, clearly she's way up here. And she gets a starring credit, as a matter of fact, in the show. So that's cool.
Wow. All right, Al. Well, this is the
Thanks,
end,
Brian.
everybody. You bet. This has been awesome, man. I cannot wait to have you on again. You've
Tomorrow
already
morning.
Hey, why not? We're gonna start this on a daily thing now. I'm gonna start this. I'm just gonna be like Jimmy Fallon. Screw it. Yeah, I don't care. I'll do a daily show that is not with Trevor Noah. It'll be with me, and I have no clue what the hell I'll call it because I'd get copyrighted for that one.
You can call it. You can call it Trevor Noah Morning Show without Trevor. I don't know.
Oh my God, I love that. I really do. I bet he'd dig the hell out of that.
Or
too.
no Trevor.
No Trevor. All right. Well, Al's told
buddy.
you where to find him. Everybody find me on the Spinoff Pod on Instagram, Twitter at Knutson_Brian. Of course, we got a fan page on Facebook, the Spinoff Podcast on Facebook. Find it on there. Give us a like. Find us on YouTube. You know where to find this, everybody. So for myself, for the show, and for Al from F is for Family on Netflix, thank you, everybody, for joining. Al, you take care, my friend.
Thanks so much.